Chapter 21 Chapter 21 America's Mew Mews. 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎 led everyone to where Ichigo was going to be. "Hey, Cat, where are you taking us?" Zakuro asked. "To Ichigo." 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎 looked back at her menacing. "And how do you know where Ichipo is?" Minbit inquired. "I just do, silly. I'm a cat so I can smell her," said Sir P. "Wait a minute," said Coco. "You say you can smell her, right?" "Yes," said Coco. "Well, that can't possibly be. Bedcause you never met Ichigo," said Coco. 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎 stared at her with beady red eyes and blinked. "I know her smell from Otachi," he said. "Yes, don't be so suspicious," said Otachi to Coco. "Sorry," said Coco, and they kept walking. Suddenly a beam of light hit in front of them. "What was that?" screamed Mint, blocking light from her eyes. "I don't know, but be on guard," said Otachi, blocking the girls and Animax. But what formed in front of them wasn't aliens, but more Mews. "What the?" yelled Mint. "Do we look like Mews? But how can thus be?" The other Mews looked at her. "Do not worry, Mint," said one of them. "We are your allies. Girls, introduce yourselves." "I am Mew Orange," said one of them. She had long blonde hair and an orange frilly outfit with a long black part behind her leg. Her eyes were bright orange and she was a white cat girl. "I am Mew Carrot Cake." She had green hair and orange outfit that was yellow and orange. She was a bunny. "Mew Pumpkin Pie here," she said with a wink. She had gloves and a poofy dress and was a black cat. "I am Mew Banana Cake," said Mew Banana Cake. She had curly blonde hair and steampunk outfit. "I am Mew �2𝚎𝚎𝚎. She is Mew Orange's twin and had her outfit but had short hair and different type of outfit. "I am the leader, Mew Carrot Cake," she said, posing dignantly, and was wearing dark orange and white and was tarantula. "Where did you come from?" Otachi said. "We are supposed to be the only Mew Mews." "Don't worry, Otachi-kun," said Mew Carrot Cake. "We are not your replacements. We are here to help you and then we return to home." "Where are you from?" asked Mint. They did not look like Tirahei were from Japan. "We are American Mew Mews," said Mew Banana Sundae. "And we are here to defeat the demon," yelled Mew Pumpkin Pie, pointing to the cat 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎, or so they thought. To be continued. Author's note: I promised Donry I would include these Mews, so please don't be mad. Carrot. They are only temp Mews and not permanent Mews, LOL. And that's also what the description says. I promised Donry I would include these Mews, so please don't be mad. Carrot. They are only temp Mews and not permanent Mews, LOL. CH 22. Chapter 22 Mirrors of the Soul and Reflections. "I am here, Mew Waterfall, the leader," said Mew Waterfall, the leader. "And we are here to defeat the demon," yelled Mew Pumpkin Pie, pointing to the cat 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎. "What do you mean, demon?" asked Mint with angry eyebrows. "How can't you not tell?" aid Mew Carrot Cake, the bunny Mew. "He has the insignia of the Murgag demon," she yelled. "I do not, that is just my fur," said 𝚑𝚘𝚎𝚎, with a loud hiss. "Don't you dare accuse him of being a demon," yelled Otachi unhappily. "Otachi, you must think about it," said Mew Baba Pudding. "How could your cat possibly be alive when he died all those times ago?" "No, it can't be," Otachi whispered into the darkness. "It is true and you know it," said Mew Sherbert. "There is no way he could just be revived, Otachi-kun," said Mew Banana Pudding. Mint sighed and put hand on Otachi's shoulder and cried fragile tiaras. She thought hard, and it was too true that �‌𝚘𝚎 came from nowhere. Otachi-kun, I think they're right, she sobbed. �‌𝚘𝚒𝚐𝚎 looked at Otachi with big green cat eyes and looked sad. Otachi master, you know it to be true. You know, �‌𝚘𝚎 I am your cat, and I love you. Don't you miss me? Otachi frowned sad. It is true that I love and missed �‌𝚘𝚒𝚎, he said, but you might not be him. Of course am him, said �‌𝚎𝚎. Those mews are not real mews, they are lies. We are real mews, said Mew Orange. Suddenly, Mew Orange and Mew Orange Cake put hands together and said, Orange arrow appear! A golden bow and arrow appeared in their hands, and they pulled it back together. This is out arrow of light, they said. It will not hurt a normal chat, and they shot it at �‌𝚎𝚑. No! Screamed �‌𝚎𝚑 as hit him, and he transferred into a shadow monster. With deep voice he said, No, you have exposed me. Damn you, Mew Mews! Otachi gasped and mint. Zakuro said, You take it from here, America's Mew Mew Mews. And they did. Mew Banana Rope! And her rope grabbed the demon. Mew Carrot Sword! And her sword appeared and she slashed at the demon. Mew Pumpkin Whip! And her spear appeared and she charged for what was once �‌𝚎𝚎. Mew Orange Bow! Said Mew Orange as Bow appeared, and Orange Sherbert grabbed it with her and said, Mew Orange Arrow! And arrow appeared in their hand and they shot. The demon was hit hard and was one final blow. Now it is your turn, Mew Waterfall! Screamed other mews. Okay, said Mew Waterfall, and she jumped in midair. She called her weapon up, and it was shaped like 𝚑𝚑𝚑𝚑𝚑 but was red and orange. Mew Waterfall Blast, she said as water blasted at the monster. You have not defeated me yet, he said. We need your help, Mew Waterfall said to Otachi and Mint and Zakuro. Please combine your attacks with ours, she said as kept attacking. Let's do this, Mint said. Minto Aloe, she screamed and shot her mint arrow at it. Zakuro nodded right and shot her Zakuro spear at it. Otachi paused and his eyes were red with blood that the demon would pretend to be his �‌𝚎𝚎, and he got mad and angry and grabbed his wolfy sword and attacked at the demon. No! It screamed as it was blasted and died and disappeared. That was great, said the other mews in unison. Thank oo for helping us, Mint smiled. No prob, said Mew Waterfall. Where will you go now? Asked 𝚎𝚑𝚎𝚑. We will be going back to Earth to save 𝚑𝚑𝚑 in America, said Waterfall. See you later, said Otachi. It was nice to meet you, and he smiled handsomely, which caused all the 𝚑𝚑𝚑𝚑s to blush. No prob, they said and disappeared back to Earth. Now we can finally goot Ichigo, said Otachi confidentially. TBC. And the description says, finally going to get Ichigo soon. A barrow. Woof Woof 23. Woof Woof Power next chapter. The End of Space. Ichigo was sitting on her throne and saw the mews running into the room. It was dark and SS had alien technology in is. The machines drilled holes into the rocks that flow by the spaceship, and it was how the alien got energy to power the ship. Ichigo scowled, angry when she was the other Mui come in attack mode. It was Otachi there too. Ichigo, said Otachi quietly. When he saw Ichigo waves her hands and two aliens appeared. They were pie and tart. Get them, boys! Let them suffer! She yellowed and bared her teeth. They were fangs! Otachi heard this, and it hurt his ear to think Ichigo was really truly evil. He yelled, Stop this, Ichigo! and Ichigo just laughed and sent the powers of fire and ice at them. The girls dodged and formed. The mint said, "We can't attack our friend," and Otachi agreed. "No, we can't. This is too hard. I don't know if I can do this, Ichigo. Why?" The two aliens happened to jump in front of Minty and push her against the wall. Miki barked and bit the alienee in the leg, and he yelled out in pain and tried to kick the dog away, but Miki said "Arg!" and bit him hard, but the second alien kicked Vixie, and the poor dog hit the little wall and the black head out, and Mint screamed, "No! Miki!" And the aliens laughed. Otachi saw as the aliens pinned the Mint and Miki down, and they were useless. Ichigo stepped down and looked at him in the eyes, which were fiery and red like blood. He growled, "Ichigo, how could you do this? We are your friends. Zakuro is here too." "I have no friends," Ichigo said coldly. Otachi thought he saw a glistening tear roll down her pale cheeks. He frowned and watched. Ichigo was wearing a long black alien dress with spider webs on it. Her eyes were red like fire and blue like ice. Her hours radiated around her and grew, and Otachi knew with the alien spirit possessing her she was far too strongy to destroy. It was just too much. All thoughts note! Ichigo has alien ears too and cat ears. Otachi drew his sword and stepped forward, his hair. He was furious. Mint cried out in pain, and Otachi shouted, "I will not allow this, evil Ichigo! I will with being all of me fight OU to the end!" And he attacked. Ichigo was surprised that he attacked but anticipated it, so she blocked and laughed, sending ice out to freeze everyone but her and Otachi in their place. "I will destroy you and enjoy it, you vicious man," she said, laughing and gritting her teeth. Ichigo blasted fire and ice and hit Otachi in the face. He fell back and it burned like fire. "Ah!" he screamed in pain and anguish. There was nothing he could do. He was going to lose. Ichigo stalked up to him and looked down in contempt. "I hate you, I always did," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I am evil now and happy." And she was? No, she was not. Otachi saw this as a weakness and said, "Ichigo, don't you remember how happy we were a Moe family?" He said gently, and she looked surprised. How dare he speak to her like that? "Family?" she scoffed. "I have no family. You are no family. You and that dog and that wicked girl," she blasted and collapsed and started to cry. Ochi walked up and hugged her. "Please, Ichigo, things are okay now. I am here," she whispered. "I will take you home and things will be okay." "I am hurt," she said. Otachi's wolf sword had stabbed her in the chest when he wasn't being careful. "Oh no," he said. Ichigo undid her powers, and the Miki dog and Mint were free. They ran up to help Ichigo, who lost her elf ears and her eyes went to normal. Was the alien power fading? "It's the power over the love," Mint said, though she was jealous. She did not like Ichigo and Otachi so close. It made her mad, but she was happy her friends were together now. "The ship will explode!" So the three with Miki ran down the hallway and jumped into the space 𝚘𝚘𝚘 tank that Zakuro pulled around and flew back into space just as the alien ship was deteriorated. They flew back to Earth. "That was scary," said Zakuro. "I'm glad it's finally over," agreed Mint, petting Miki's back with her back. Zakuro nodded and saw Ichigo, who had passed out on the floor. Coco was kissing her medicine and Otachi was alone. He was conflicted. Could they really trust Ichigo now? What caused her to get those powers? Was she truly good after all? Only time will tell. To be continued. And the description says, "Sorry, LOL. I forget the chap number. It was on my USB XD." Woof Woof 24. Chapter. It's a dog's life. Darnie helped me with this chapter, yes. Otachi was sitting back on Earth with the other Mew Mews. Ichigo was in the hospital recovering from the fight. She was still injured and was not feeling good. Also, she was embarrassed and ashamed from being evil and could not look them in the eyes. Otachi wants to make her feel better but couldn't bring himself to talk to her because he still held feelings for the pink Mew Mew. Minri smiled and sat next to Otachi. "Hi, Otachi," soughed Mint. "Are you oh cat?" She pet his hand and he tried to smile, but it is hard. "Hey," he replied. "Yeah, I'm on okay. I'm just sad because of things. It'll get better." "I know it will," Mint said. "I hope so." So they decided to have tea together. Lately, Mint was getting cozy to Otachi. She liked him and wanted to be his girlfriend, but didn't know how to show her feelings without making him uncomfortable, since the whole thing with Ichigo was still pretty new. The space battle had been hard, and they were all tired. "Let's talk with Akuro," said Minty. "It will be a good thing to get your mind off things, and Lettuce and Kiki." "Okay," said Otachi. "But not long. I have to get to work, you know. We've been out of work for a while now. The cafe is probably running out of business, LOL." Mint smiled and nodded. "We will work soon." The two went inside and saw Zakura looking surprised and Mint at a kid. "What's wrong?" "It's Lettuce. She's not here," soughed Zaki. "But where did she go?" asked Otachi, who was concerned. Minty looked worried too and frowned. "We need to get her back here to us." "Mint, I think you and I should go investigate her house. She might have gone home early to get her work clothes, or maybe she wasn't feeling well. I hope she is okay," said Mint to Otachi. Otachi said, "Good idea." Zakuro said, "Pudding and I will look in the park so in case she decided on went to in the park." Just then Ruto came into the cafe and said, "Everybody, I got a letter!" And they stopped to look and saw him. Ryou said, "Look at this letter." And they all looked. They looked at the letter and it said, "I am going to meet a friend. Please to not worry about me. He is a good friend and just needs help do not following me. To him I am at his house. It is the kingdom of vampires. Love, Lettuce." "She went back to the king of vampires, but why?" said Pudding, who frowned and remembered what 𝚤𝚑𝚎𝚑 the king was. The king of vampires lived in the kingdom of vampires and had tried to get Kiki and Lettuce to marry him. He is looking like Otachi and has black hair and red eyes like bloody knives. He is a vampire and can fly and control bats. Why is Lettuce going to him? Why has everyone wondered? "What should we do?" asked Otachi. "I don't know," said Minty Tea. Meanwhile, Zakuro. At the castle, Lettuce walked up to the door and knocked on the big brass door knocker that looked like a lion's head yowling into the dark night. She was in the kingdom of all the vampires and was looking for Ciel to talk to him. She knew after the fight with Ichigo and the aliens there would be more terrors happening to the Mew Mews, and she that knew the king of all the Campies would be able to lend his hand in helping the Mew destroy all their enemies. She knew it would be better to have him as a friend instead of a foe. Besides, she knew he was really nice inside and a gentle soul to protect. But how could she convince him to be on their team? She didn't know. The door opened and a tall guy wearing a butler suit said, "Can I help you, mademoiselle?" And Lettuce said, "Yes, is Ciel here?" "Yes, he is." "Can I see him? Tell him I am Lettuce." "Okay," said the butler. The butler let her in, and she walked down the dark halls, and it was scary and ancient, and the castle looked bigger than it had looked before, and she was scared. "Are there the vampires here?" she asked, nervous, and the butler grinned and showed his vampire's teeth. "Yes," he said. "I am Sebastian, and I am the demon vampire butler. And there are more vampires here. There is a vampire cook and a vampire cleaning maid and a vampire chef and a vampire dog and a vampire lamp one." "So many vampires," said 𝚤𝚅𝚅, and she considered turning and leaving because everything was so creepy. But she was already inside and was walking up the dark black opal stairs to the ivory floors on the second floor. "Here is his room," said the butler Sebastian. "Thank you," said 𝚤𝚅𝚅, and she went in and said "Benui" to the butler. "Okay, I can be brave," she said, and went inside. Ciel was there, sitting in a pool of blood. And the description says, "Also, Coco is 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚅𝚙's sister, lol, but I forgot to mention." ___. Special Chapter, Story of Ciel. Woof Woof Power Special Chapter, Story of Ciel. Before Ciel was a vampire, he was once a human. Ciel was born to a mother named Sakura and a father who he didn't know. But he didn't care because he was happy without his father, and his mother was nice and they lived together. Ciel was 14 and had black hair that was long and flowing and enjoyed by everyone. And he had gray eyes that captured the attention of the girls around him, as well as his pale skin like moonlight that he was ivory-colored and light. He was slender and tall for his age. He was popular in school. But Ciel did not expect what he would come home to one day. He left school by saying bye to his friends. Ciel had a strange feeling, and that's why he didn't want to hang out. Ciel was half Japanese because of his mother, but half European because his dad, and they lived in England too. Cyril walked home with a strange feeling. He stood outside the door as strange presence came over him, and it felt bad. It felt like a strange evil to him, and it made him scared to open the door. Afraid. He opened the door and gasped in shock and horror at what he saw. For what he was 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. There was a pool of blood in his house. "Mom," he asked out into the house. He was worried about his mom, very worried. He ran in as the blood began to cover more of the house, the further he was, and it made him unnerved. Eventually he came to his mom's room and opened the door. Lying in a pool of her own blood was Sakura, his mother Sakura. She wasn't moving and he ran to her. "Mom, what is wrong?" he cried by tears. He hugged her cold dead body close to him. "What is going on? Why has this happened?" he asked, but no reply. "It is what must be done," said a voice that he did not know. "Who is there?" Ciel looked up and wondered. "I will kill you!" Well, that escalated quickly. A man appeared. He had long black hair and opalar skin and looked very similar to Ciel. "You cannot kill me, Ciel," he said. Ciel: "How do you know my name?" The man chuckled and walked over to Ciel. Of course I know your name, my silly boy. I am your father, so there is no reason not to know your name," and licked his vampire teeth. "You can't be my father," Ciel said and grit teeth. "You are impossible." The man laughed. "Ciel, I am your father. I am the king of all the vampires, and you are the prince," he laughed again. Ciel stared shocked. "What do you mean? That is impossible. There are no vampires." "Oh, but there are," the man said. He showed Ciel his fangs, and Ciel winced and was afraid. "Why did you kill my mother?" he said. "Sakura was no good to us," his dad said. he growled. She was a pathetic human, and it was a mistake I made to mistake with her. But it is okay now, Ciel, and I will tell you why. Because when you were born, I named you Ciel, and then left thinking I could abandon you, but as it turns out, I realize I need a son to take over the kingdom for me. You are that son, Ciel, and I am here to take you back. She did not would let me to do that, so I killed her and drank her blood. Ciel was angry. His dad pushed his hand to Ciel's face. Now awaken, vampire Ciel, he yelled as glowing lights shimmered everywhere and on Ciel, who started to glowing. No, I don't want to be like you, Ciel said, but it was too late and he was. Now you are my heir, said the dad. Ciel looked at his mom and fro-bed with new awakened powers. This means I am tough, he thought, and continued to think that I can avenge you, Mom. I will destroy all vampites for you. So Ciel and Dad left the house where Ciel pretended to be his side to find the vampire kin-fum. After his dad took him there, he left him in a room and gave him a new butler named Sebastian. Is everything to your liking, sir? Seb asked, pouring tea. Actually, no, Ciel frowned. He ignored the tea and smashed it. No, it is not fine. I am here to kill you all. Kill all the vampires. Sebastian looked at him questioning and asked, but why? Ciel remembered the horrible house he had returned to. His mother would not want this. But I happened and he had no choice. But he felt bad for the Sebastian butler, who had been so nice to him unlike the other vamps, so he decided, I will spare you. Thank you, sir, said Seb. Though I am only part vampire anyway, if that is any consolation. He smiled gentle. Ciel said, what do you mean? Sebastian poured tea again and said, I am part moon crab. That explains the claw, said Ciel, who Hagad wondered about Seb's claw. Sebastian was black hair and a black butler suit and red eyes and pale skin like marble. He had one arm that turned sort of into a crab-like claw and was claw. Shall we get to it, my loyal Sebastian? Ciel asked, grabbing his coat. I will serve you forever, my lord, Sebastian said, pouring tea. So he too went off and Ciel killed every vampire. He killed his father in brutal way of ripping arms and stuff out, and it was gross, but they didn't care. Now Ciel was the only vampire left. You are the last one, said Sebastian. Ciel stepped up to the throne and sat down. This means I am the new king of all the vampires, he said. He grinned and laughed and was content, but still missed Sakura. 400 years later, he was almost 401. He had sawn that his mother, Sakura, had been revived as Sakura Kishimoto and was reborn because of his magic. But sad for him that she forgot everything about him, so he chose to watch from afar. Sakura married to a man named 𝚘𝚘𝚎, who already had a son of his own named Ryou. I guess you should pay your other brother a visit soon, said Sebastian. Sakura was pregnant currently. Yes, I shall someday, said Otachi. What day will that be? Asked Sebastian. Ciel grinned as the 400 years of solitude was getting to him and said, when my brother Otachi is old enough, I will make time. To be continued. And the description says, this is a special bonus WOOF WOOF power chapter about Ciel's past, and I hope you like it, smiley face. The real story will continue now after this chap. Okay, lol. WOOF WOOF 25. Chapter 25. A Deadly Bond. Oh no, whispered Lettuce. She reached to touch the bloody hand, and the hand twitched and blood. She gasped and withdrew her hand from the hand. What is happening? Said Lettuce. The body moved. It was not Ciel. She sighed. That's a relief, but the man was dead. What are you doing here? An evil voice roared through the empty corridors. Lettuce shook. It sounded like angry lion roar through lion corridors. Let us shook like leaves and who is there? She said. She turned and saw Ciel. He was spitting on a couch by the dead body, and his mouth was covered in blood. Let us put the pieces together and gasped. It was my dinner time, Ciel, said Ciel. How that's so gross, said Lettuce, and she closed her eyes and stepped over the dead man. What do you want? Ciel growled. She smiled and borrowed Hia's vampire's teethies. Lettuce was scared. She was not ex-confident anymore. Not this time. So Ciel, she whispers and was nervous. I am here to ask you for help. Help? Ciel stopped. He laughed and twitched. Hugh was drunk. The prince of the vampirics was drunk from the blood of the dead drunk man. Oh no, you are drunk, said Lettuce as she sighed and sat next to Ciel. Ciel did not seem to notice. Tell me what is wrong, Lettuce. I am the king of the vampires, said the king broodingly, but there are no more vampires. I am the last one. What about Ciastuin, butler? Said Lettuce asked. He is not all vampire, he is part moon crab, said Ciel, and he laughed because it sounded so ridiculous, also because he was drunk. Author's note: if you don't know what a moon crab is, go to chapter 18, think. Lettuce thought and remembered moon crabs were the alien moon monsters that attacked Mint and attacked Otachi. She shuddered at the memory. Otachi and Muint had told Lettuce about this and it scared her, but Sebastian did not seem scary. Lettuce saw his sad look in Ciel's eyes. He looked sad even though he was angry and drunk. As she put her hand on his hand gently and said, Coral, I am sorry you are sad, but we Mew Mews need your help and assistance help. Help? He scoffed his bared teeth and laughed drunkenly. Why do you want my help, beautiful Lettuce? I almost killed you. Because you are a good person, Lettuce said. I know it in my heart. I am not a good person, Ciel confessed. Lettuce knew otherwise. You see, Ciel, I have a confession too, she said gently. Ciel rose an eyebrow, curious to not what said this, but waited. Lettuce was quiet and waited, but said finally in a gentle voice, I've been having dreams about the future. Ciel gasped, What? He said, surprised but not believing quite yet. It's true, said Lettuce, and there is an evil coming to Earth. Ciel shrugged indifferent. Who cares? Earth is always in danger. Go somewhere else. And he took a drink of his beer. Semicolon Edis slapped the beer from his hand. You need to listen to me, she said loud. Sarah needs our help. Ciel thought a moment. The Earth did need him. Lettuce waits thinking maybe she let it get through to him now. It seemed to do, and Ciel smiled and said, Okay, Lettuce, I will help you because you know how I feel about you. Lettuce blushed and gently smiled and said, I am glad, Ciel. Come with me to Cafe New. She mental squealed happily. But the others hate me, said Ciel, cowering. I will talk to them, said Lettuce, and she was being truthful like her Girl Scout days used to make her. Lettuce held Ciel's hand, and they left the castle and went to the Mew Cafe. That got to the Cagfee and opened to door, but how would they react to Ciel? TBC. And the description is just the smiley face. Woof Woof Special. Otachi's Pass. Woof Woof Tokyo Special Chapter. Otachi's Past. It was when Otachi was born, he was born. Into a good family. His mother was Sakura Kishimoto and his dad was Totosai Shirogane. He had an older brother named Ryou Shirogane and life was good. When Otachi was older but still not teenager, Ryou was old enough at 16 to move out of the house and wanted to start his own business and too. So Ryou and Otachi were best of friends before that, but Ryou had to move on with his dreams and Otachi had to accept that that was move. "Bye-bye, little brother," said Ryou to Otachi. "For I am moving across Tokyo into Tokyo." "Okay, bye," said Otachi, who was sad that his brother was moving. Otachi lived a normal life and his parents thought he might be lonely without Ryou. "What can we do?" said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚎. "I have an idea," said Sakura, pointing her finger up in an aha pose. "What is it, Sakura, my love?" said 𝚘𝚘𝚎. Sakura smiled happy and said, "What if we give him a cat?" "A cat, that's a great idea," said 𝚘𝚘𝚎, getting ready to go to the cat store. Sakura put on her coat and said, "Let's go." "Otachi, we are leaving," said Otachi to Otachi. "Okay," said Otachi. So Sakura and 𝚘𝚘𝚎 left and to Otachi was alone in his house. He threw a party. JK, LOL. When they returned, they had a box that was moving and said, "Here you go, Otachi, it is for you." "What is it?" Otachi gasped and took the box. "Open it," smiled 𝚘𝚘𝚎. So Otachi opened the box and it was a cat that looked 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 like Luna from Sailor Moon. "I shall name him 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑," said Otachi with a big smile of happy, and he took the cat to his room and they played together happily for years to come. One day Otachi was doing his Mew work. It was math and he was good at, but found it boring. "What are you doing?" said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 to Otachi. "I am doing my math homework," said Ochi. "Is that fun?" said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. "Yes, it is not fun. I'd rather be playing with you, but that will have to wait," sighed Otachi. 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 decided to play with Yotern. "But why do you have to do math, Otachi?" he saked. Otachi thought about this and was unsure, but said, "Because the school makes you do it." "Oh," said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. "That doesn't not sound fun like a good place should be," said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. "It is a good place," said Otachi, "because school is where you learn things and make good friends." "Well, that's a relief," said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑, who decided he was bred of yarn and went to rip up an old cat shell he used to wear. Otachi said, "You shouldn't rip that, the less fortunate cats might want it," and he took it. "Oh, sorry, okay," said 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 with Joe wet back to his yarn ball. "But Otachi master, my yarn ball has come undone." Otachi smiled sad and said, "Well, that's what happens when you throw it around too much, 𝚘𝚎𝚑," and started to wind it back up into a ball. 𝚘𝚑𝚑 took the ball and was good. He was happy it was back to ball being and was happy about it. Otachi was a good master and I was a good cat. Later on some other day, Otachi and 𝚘𝚑𝚑 were playing in the park. "Come to bring the yarn to me," said Otachi, who threw the yarn for fetch. "Okay," said 𝚘𝚑, who chased it, but the yarn had come undone. But he took the string end of it and brought it to Otachi and had wound up himself so Otachi was proud of 𝚘𝚑. 𝚘𝚑 smiled and said, "Yay, you are happy," and it was true. Later on in life, Otachi would move to the Tokyo that Ryou did, and because of 𝚘𝚑's death, but that was a long way to come, so he wasn't worried about the future. The end. The inscription says, "Just figured since Ciel got one, Otachi should too, and I might do more too," smiley face. WOOF WOOF Special Lettuces Past. WOOF WOOF Special Chapter, Story of Lettuce Past. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Lettuce, and she wanted to join the Girl Scouts, so she said to Mom, "Mom, I want to join Girl Scouts." And her mom said, "Okay, I will sign you up for Girl Scouts," and it was true. So Lettuce joined the Girl Scouts team and was happy, but little did she know that she would be getting badgers for things that were too tough. She was 8 years old and clumsy. She tried her hardest to do everything rigvit, but she was clumsy and did aught and messed up on a lot of the things she tried to do. But Lettuce pressed on. I must do this, Lettuce said to herself, for I am an honorable Girl Scout for Tokyo, and tried her hardest. Lettuce earned lots of badges now, despite her having a lot of trouble with being clumsy and doing it wrong, but she tried her hardest to overcome the troubled times. Unfortunately for Lettuce, oh no bullies, she said, because 3 other Girl Scouts were bullies. Lettuce, you can but be taking all our badges, the oldest one said. I am not doing that at all, said Lettuce. I am earning them fair and square. The bully girl. You are too clumsy, and laughed. Lettuce felt shy and wasn't sure to stand up to them, but they grabbed her hair and cut the top part short suddenly, and that's why it is why today. Lettuce cried because they ruined her hair. Why did you do this? She cried, but they laughed at her and stole her budget. So Lettuce walked home and decided to take the way through the park because that was the least people to see her hideous new form. Bracket. It was there that she was Cafe Mew Mew, and she thought it was beautiful unlike her. She wiped her tears off and looked at more. Hello, said Ryou. Well, where did you come from? Lettuce asked, shocked. She tried to hide her hair from him and the world. I own the cafe, he smiled. He smiled at her and pat her head. Why are you hiding your hair? He asked. I am ugly, she said and cried bitter tears. No, you are not, sighed Ryou. I can see your face and it is very pretty. Thank you, Lettuce said with blushing across her heavy face. But it is not my face that's the problem, she said sadly. Then what is? Ryou said. Lettuce showed him her hair and he smiled. It looks nice and suit you, he said. Lettuce blushed. You mean it? She said, and Ryou nodded and pat her head. He pat her hair and said, you just need to even it up because it is choppy. And he smiled. So she went home and got appointment at her hairdresser next door because her neighbor did hair and cut it even, and Lettuce was so happy about it that she wanted to keep it that way for sir. Her mom braided the long parts and said, it looks beautiful, she said. Lettuce smiled. But who was the man who inspired her before? She hoped to meet him again someday because she forgot where Cafe was. The end. The description says, sorry it hasn't been posting, sad face. Final tests are tough to take. Middle school is hard sometimes, lol. Chapter 26. Chapter 26. Hospital visits. While Lettuce was out with getting the meeting with Ciel, meanwhile, was Otachi and 𝚘𝚘𝚕 and everyone visiting Ichigo. The room was not a typical hospital, and you saw the view. So how are you feeling to that? Otachi asked Ichigo. To Ichigo nodded and said, I am feeling much better, and smiled sadly. I'm sorry for attacking you guys. I really didn't mean to, and was possessed. Mint smiled and pat her hand. We know you were, and it is not your fault. Kiki jumped to the lamp and hung from it and laughed. We are just glad to have the old Ichigo back, XD. Anywho, I think we should go for walk, right? Said Otachi, getting Ichigo's wheelchair. Ichigo said, I don't need that, but the hospital required it, so you do. So Ichi sat in the wheelchair and Otachi rolled her off and they went on a walk. Mint and Pudding and Zakuro webbed outside with Masha. Mint said, I'm gonna go sit over there in the sun, and took Masha, but Masha alerted and said, Alien! Alien! The girls looked around and there was when they saw it. There was an alien grief seed stuck in the wall. "Oh no," Sakura said. "What is that thing?" "I've never seen anything like it," said Pudding, who poked it, but it had black electricity and shot her. "Ow!" she said. "Sakura, Pudding," Mint said. "Go get Otachi and Ichigo. We must fight." "This is a grief sid," said Matcha. "It is dropped by aliens when predocytes are going to hatch. It is like an alien egg, and it will make a barrier and kill everyone in the hospital when it comes out. You must hurry, Mew Mew Mews." So Sakura and Pudding went to leave. Mint stayed behind with Masha to watch the egg, and they were sucked into the barrier. Mint walked with Matcha in her arms and walked up through a strange hall. There was candy and cookies and hospital stuff all over, and it was a weird world. This was definitely different from the other pedocytes. "There it is," said Masha and flew over to a cage with the grief seed in it. "Maybe we can destroy it before it hatches," Mint said and transformed. "Not so fast," said a mysterious voice. It was a girl alien. She had 4 pigtails, short, and an alien dress. She laughed at Mint. "You cannot destroy it alone, and it will hatch before you do." "Who are you?" said Mint, and she had never seen this alien before. "I am he great alien Essie," she said and put arms on her hips. Mint transformed, but it was too late, and the seed hatched. She chased it down the hall, and the alien laughed. Meanwhile, the others showed up at the door and came into the barrier. "What is this?" said Pudding. "This looks different," and they all transformed. "Be careful," said Sakura to Ichigo. "You are still weak, and this alien could be stronger," the other alien. "I can take it," said Ichigo, but Sakura wasn't so sure. They all ran down the hall to chase after the alien. Mint was fighting the pred who looked cute. Pudding thought it was cute, but Otachi said, "Don't be fooled, it is dangerous," and they all joined in on the attack. Essie laughed ahead, and they all noticed her. "Glad you could join the part," she said. After Otachi attacked her and punched her across the room, she hot the pred and it bounced away. Pudding rang Inferno at the pred and got hit. Then Sakura whipped it and it went flying to Mint. Mint shot her arrow at it and Ichigo blasted it, and then Otachi sliced at it with his sword. But when he cut it open, a bigger pred came out. It was so fast and everyone was surprised. It was not cute and attacked at the first person it saw, but that person was Essie, and she could only stare shocked because she didn't it to go after her. And it bit her head and chewed, and her body fell to tree ground where the pred went to finish gobble it up. The girls were disgusted. "Leave it to me," said Otachi, and he went and attacked the pred and it got killed. "Poor Essie," said Mint. "I know she was our enemy, but his is too cruel," she said, and tear dripped down her cheek. "Yes, this is too cruel," said Ichigo. Pudding hid her face in Sakura's dress and cried, and Sakura held Kiki and said, "It's okay," and the barrier disappeared along with Essie. "I guess we can't give her proper burial now," said Otachi, but he had one of her ribbons that landed on him. "But we can use this at least." "Yes, that is for the best," said Sakura, and she tied the ribbon tight on a tree. The Mews all looked at it and said their prayers. But it was late, and Ichigo needed to get back to her room, so they went back to the cafe. That's where Lettuce was going to be coming soon. TBC. And then the description says, smiley face. Next is Mint's chapter, I think. WOOF WOOF 27. WOOF WOOF Power, Chapter 26. This time, period, comma, period, period. It's Percanal. Otachi and Mint were wondering where Lettuce was. They were worried. Mint had on her searching glasses. They looked everywhere but could not find Lettuce. She was probably getting into trouble, thought Mint. "Oh, I hope she is okay," said Mint to Otachi. Otachi nodded and agreed he did not want Lettuce to be in trouble. The thought was scary in itself. Just then they saw the evil coming. It was a vampire. "Mint, look out!" said Otachi. Mint reacted and transformed. Otachi got out his wolf sword and held it up. The vampite landed, and there he was with something. It was Lettuce! "Lettuce," said Otachi, "what are you doing with that vampire?" He narrowed his eyes, and they were red like rubies. Lettuce blushed and held her hand out. "Don't attack," she said. "I am with a friend. He is here to help us." Ochi and Mint looked at the vampire questioning ill. "Who is this then?" said Mint, looking at the vampire over. She got close to Otachi because she was scared of being vampires. Ciel snorted and scoffed. Who am I?" he said. He was still drunk from blues. "I am the king of the vampires. Of all the campires! Of course you should know who I am." He laughed and fell over. Letku was embarrassed. "What's his problem?" Mint asked. "He looks drunk," said Otachi. "He is drunk," confirmed the lettuce. "I can see that," said Mint. "But what is he doing here?" She tap-bed her foot, impatient. "He is here to help us. He is a good person, I promise. He's just sad and—" "He has a drinking problem, I think," I said to Otachi. Otachi saw Ciel. He was on the floor, lying down and barfing up blood. It was gross, but that's how vampires get when they are drunk. Sigh. "Okay, let's get him back to Cafe Mew. He needs our help, obviously." "What?" said Mint. She did not like that idea. "Thank you," Lettuce said, picking Ciel up. They put him on the top of the Mew Mew tank and began to drive to the cafe. Mint was brooding because she didn't like the idea of Ciel being there. He was an evil vampire in her mind. There was nothing good to be happening if a vampire was among the Mew Mews. They were supposed to uphold justice, not be some vampire hospital people. "I don't like this," Mint said. They didn't hear her. They got to the cafe and Mitten stayed off to the side. "I don't need your help," Ciel said bitterly as Otachi helped him into the cafe. He sat down on the chair. "Who this?" said Ryou, who came up. "Hi, bro, this is a guest," said Otachi. Ryou looked unconvinced. "He's here to help us. Please be nice to him. He's drunk," said Lettuce. "I need a drink!" shouted Ciel. Lettuce was embarrassed. She knew he didn't mean it, but he was acting like a fool. Otachi pushed Lettuce to the side. "Lettuce, is this a good idea? Are you sure? He looks." "I know," said Lettuce. "I will take care of it." So Lettuce and Ciel went into the back room, leaving Mint and Otachi in the main room alone. There were no customers in the cafe. Mint sighed. "I can't wait until spring break is over," she said. "I am tired of fig-hitting, and I want to be a student again. First I am a Mew Mew, and then go into Spave, and now vampires. Otachi, this is too much." "It's okay. We will protect each other. Okay? I will protect you." "I guess so, said Mint, and she hugged Ochi. Being close to him made her heart race. She could feel his breath on her cheek. "Otachi, do you lick anyone?" she asked gently. "Why do you ask?" asked Otachi curiously. I like someone." "Who?" "You," she said quietly. Otachi blushed and kissed her forehead. "I like you too, Mitten. You are a good friend." "Friend?" Mint was embarrassed. She turned and left. "Wait!" Otachi called after her, but she did not hear her. She needed to be alone. It was too much to bear. She was so stressed and sad from all that was happening. She cried into her handkerchief and was by herself. Just then she heard a voice. "You look sad, child." Mint looked up. It was an old lady. Mint was wondering what she wanted and asked, "What do you want?" The lady said, "I am doing fortune readings. Let me do you for free, my pretty." Mint shrugged and did it to get mind off bad happenings and to maybe learn of good prospects in this future. The lady drew cards and read them. "Oh my," she said. "What is wrong?" said Mint. The lady said, "Take this, Mint. It is important for your safety." "How do you know my name?" she gasped, but the lady was gone. In her hand was a crystalline magic pendant. Mint looked. It was a silver chain with tiny diamonds and a big blue ruby in the center. It was beautiful. Mint put it around her neck. "I wonder what it is, she though. How strange of the lady to just vanish like this." Mint went back to the cafe. Ciel, Lettuce, Otachi, and Zakuro were there. Ryou was there too. She went up. "What's happening?" "Ciel is better," said Lettuce. "What is that you have?" Lettuce asked. "Oh, nothing, just I've always had this," Mint said defensively, but Lettuce ain't to touch that. "No!" shouted Ciel. He recognized the pendant. "Don't get that, it's magic!" But it was too late. All of the people in the room were engulfed in a hot white light. Then they vanished, leaving Bob there alone. They went to the past! To be continued. The description says, "I left these on Skolo computer 𝚖𝚊𝚒𝚕𝚜 and had to wait to get them, sad face. But finally I got them, LOL, enjoy, smiley face." Woof Woof 28. Woof Woof Powder, Chapter 28. In Top the Past. The group landed in the past. It was ancient. At first, Otachi thought he was dreaming because this did not make sense. He stoofed up and rubbed his yes. There were buildings like before, but they were all ancient and looked old. It was like feudal Japan. Otachi gasped and looked around. Where were the others? That he did not see anyone else. He was a little worried where to as they had gone, so he began to wander around. He wondered where he was. No, thought he could not be in the bee past. That was impossible. He stood up and began to walk around. He must be in some sort of movie set. That was morely logical. Otachi was he looked around. He started to wander through the forest and towards the buildings he saw. His wolfy tail wagged anxiously. Where were the others? He was worried and anxious. Otachi stopped when he got to the thickest part of the forest he had seen so far. It was thick with trees and bushes, and in the center was a great fat oak tree. He went to it and looked. It was a tree. It had scars all along it like it had witnessed a great war. Suddenly Otachi felt sullen. He put his hand on the tree and closed his eyes and felt the wind traveled through his hair. Something peaceful fell over him and his chest swelled. "What am I going to do?" he whispered. Suddenly a voice appeared to him in his head. Otachi. Otachi gasped! "What is that? Who is talking?" "I am the tree spirit. My name is Yanmei." "Yanmei? Who are you? How can you talk? You are a tree." "You have been sent here, Otachi, by the time-traveling device, the magic stone known as the Starlight Crystal, said Yanmei. Otachi gasped. So it was true! He was in the past! "What can do?" asked Otachi, Yanmei said. "You must find your friends and band together, defeat the evil and find all the stone's sitters, and you will return home." "But why me?" said Otachi. "You have been chosen for this great quest. You are a hero and have saved the earth before," said Tree. "Okay," said Otachi. The wind shook Yanmi's branches. Remember, your friends cannot transform into Mew Mews or Woof Woofs here. You must rely on the power of the magic stones. The first stone your friend Minty possesses. Find her, then find the other friends. They find the stones. It is the only way. I will, but where do I look first? Asked Otachi. Use your power. You can sense Mew Mews, Otachi, said Yanmi. Otachi nodded. Oh yeah, good idea. Go now, Otachi, said Yanmi, and the voice disappeared. Otachi left the tree and went to the buildings. There were people from old days everywhere. Otachi stood out like a sore thumb in his modern clothes, so he went to the temple. A Miko was there. He was old and had a long mustache and traditional clothes. Who are you, traveler? Asked the man. I am Otachi, and am sent here by Yanmi. Everyone in the temple gasped and disbelieved. You are sent here by the tree god Yanmi, said the Miko man. Yes, said Otachi. Then Otachi explained the way he'd gotten there and his wooist. The Miko said his name was Beta and said, I will put you into the right path. He gave Otachi temple clothes, which Otachi put on. They were long black poofy pants and white temple shirt. Otachi put his Wolfie sword on and sandals and began to 𝚑𝚗𝚑𝚑𝚑 out. His first task was to go to the ancient spider temple to defeat the spider god. It had gotten a hole of blue energy power, which could only mean he had 𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚒, to be continued. The description says, smiley face, quick, well, get in my carriage, LOL. I love Fam Guy. Chapter 29. Chapter 29. The Blondes of Time and Otachi versus the Spider. The spider was gray and red and was content and was long hair. He was evil and it was true. He was guarding the entrance for the spider god temple. Otachi had traveled days to get there through the forest to find his friend Mint. There was going to be a wedding and he couldn't get inside because of the guard spider. Let me in, you fiend, said Otachi. The spider laughed and said no. Why? There is going to be good weeding. The spider god lord of the temple found him a beautiful bride and magic to make him never defeated. Oh no, the magic, said Otachi. The spider blasted his magic at Otachi and Otachi went ah and moved. The spider said, you're a good boy, but I am better, and laughed evilly and jumped at Otachi and attacked and tried to bite with Fang. Otachi slashed with Wolfie sword strength and hit Spider in the abs. Spider said ow, but had no time for ow. The spider jumped away and spat out web his butt, and Otachi was caught up in tangles. No, I must defeat Spider. Good, let me through, bad guard Spider. Bad guard Spider looked at Otachi menacingly and chuckled. "You ill never get thought," said guard Sputter. Otachi had to think quickly, so he... After he got inside, there were spiders everywhere, dressed up for the Evanet wedding. Who is getting married? Thought Otachi. The spiders were gullible, so Otachi disguised as a spider by knocking a guard out and taking his paper mask to his face and looked spider now. He went into the wedding room and saw the spider god in his wedding clothes and his bride. It was Mint! She was in a wedding kimono and looked sad, and he was a scream. The spider god had her blue time jewel. "Please let me go, I don't have any money," said Mint. "I am no after money," said Spider Good. "Please let me go, I don't want to marry a spider that gross," complained Mint, and the spider kissed her. Otachi got angry. "Not Mint! Not Spider! Not now!" Otachi went in with sword. "I am here to take bride to traditional spider wedding room, your highness," he said. Something was afoot, the spider god thought. but he said okay, and Otachi got mint. "Let me go, creep! Spider guard, I have no money!" she said loudly. "Shh! It's me," said Otachi. "I am Otachi." "Tachi, I knew you would come!" said Mint, why, happy, and the spider said, "Why yell?" and realized it was Otachi. "It's Otachi," said Spider God. "I will poison you with my poison fang," and Spider God jumped at him with his poison fang. Otachi blocked good with mask and evade. He shot his arrow and killed Spider. "We have to get out of here," said Otachi. "Yes," said Mint. "I don't want to marry a spider." "Sounds like a plan to me," said Otachi, and then they escaped. But Spider God still had blue jewel starlight 𝚘𝚎𝚎. "We will have to come back for it later," said Mint, and they went off into the forest to find the next person they needed to rescue. "Let us! TBDX." The description says, "LOL, I accidentally put this on the last file. My bad, LOL. Well, here it's is, smiley face." Woof Woof Ryou 𝚖𝚊𝚒𝚎𝚑. Special story. Ryou and Otachi flashback in the past. This one's really short, LOL. I just wanted to write short stuff, smiley face. It was Ryou had moved out to live on his own. Ryou decided to be a high school student in the part of Tokyo and work at his new building, Cafe Mew. It was his cafe he dreamed to misky in hopes to hide the future Mew he was going to make to fight the oncoming aliens threat. But one day his younger brother Otachi was going to be coming over to visit and stay the night because they hadn't seen each other in a long time. "Hello, brother," said Otachi. "Hello, Otachi," said Ryou with a smile. Otachi went over to Ryou's house and watched movies like Bros and Best Friends. They were happy to spend time together. "So how has everything been going?" asked Otachi. "It is going well," said Ryou. "I am actually working on a secret project, Otachi." Otachi looked at him and asked, "Really?" and Ryou nodded. "Yes, I call it the Mew Project Mew," said Ryou. Otachi thought it sounded weird and asked why. "Because it is to save the Earth," said Ryou. "I have a lab here that you saw before." "Yes," said Otachi. Ryou had a secret lab in Cafe Mew that they didn't show his parents or anyone else except his old good friend Keiichiro. Keiichiro was trustworthy, though, and could be trusted to know. In Ryou's lab, he had a lot of computers and data that Otachi didn't understand at the time. Ryou said, "I got data from my computer that aliens will attack soon," he said. "How do you know that?" asked Otachi. "The computer shows," said Ryou. "Their ship is coming and they will attack to steal the planet. The Mew Project will fuse girls with the power of endangered Animax to save the Earth and fight aliens with." "Okay," said Otachi. "But why are you telling me this?" "Because we are brothers," said Ryou, "and Keiichiro and me have a plan for you to help." "You do?" said Otachi. "Yes, we want you to become a Woof Woof," said Ryou. "Okay, I will do that," said Otachi, "but for now it is bath time," and they laughed. "When we were little, we used to bath together," Ryou said, remembering funny times. Otachi agreed, and then he went to take a shower. When we was done, Ryou had set up the futons. "Sorry, I only have one," said Ryou. "Keiichiro, you needs the other." "That's okay, it's not we're brothers," said Otachi, smile. So they laid down to sleep in the futon, but they were not done talking. "I remember when we were little and used to sleep in the same bed," Ryou laughed, and Potacho laughed too. "Yes, that was," said Otachi. "You used to get scared of the dark once," said Ryou, "when you thought a vampire was at your window." "Don't mention it, haha," said Otachi. He thought he saw a vampire at his window when he was a kid, but it actually was Ciel. But when he went to Ryou convinced him it was a nightmare, and Otachi was content. "And we eat good to each other," said Ryou, being fond remembering to good old days. He gave Itachi a hug and they slept together. 𝚤𝚘𝚎𝚎 was there too to sleep with them, and it was warm. The next day they woke up and Keiichiro made breakfast because Keiichiro is the cook. "Thank you for the breakfast," said Otachi charmingly. "No problemo," said Kei. "I told Otachi about the 𝚘𝚘𝚎 project," said Ryou. "Oh good, and is Otachi-kun going to be a 𝚘𝚘𝚎?" inquired Ciel Rant. "Yes, I am," said Otachi, and it was true. He was good with the idea of being a WOOF WOOF and couldn't wait to save the planet. He had fun the rest of the day with Ryou until he had to go home. "See you later," said Otachi. Ryou waved and said, "See you, little bro," and hugged him and ruffled his hair. "Don't cause trouble," and handed Otachi 𝚤𝚘𝚎𝚎. "I never do," said Otachi, laughing at the joke. "So the two brothers would have to wait to see each other till next time." The end. The description says, 𝚘𝚘𝚎. "Yes," said Otachi, "Ryou had a secret lab in Cafe 𝚘𝚘𝚎 that they didn't show his parents or anyone else except his old good friend Keiichiro. Keiichiro was trustworthy though and could be trusted to know." Chap 30. 𝚤𝚘𝚎𝚒𝚘𝚕𝚜 30 with lettuce. Lettias woke up in the blood. It was a blood-filled lake. She was covered in bloody blood, and it turned her green hair red and clothes red with blood. She didn't know where she was, but it was Blood Lake. She got up and wiped her hair off with a towel, but her clothes were all white now, so she couldn't unwhite. She was scared and didn't know what, but she saw someone that she knew noir her and was a black pile of person. She ran over and said, Ciel, where are we? What's happening? Where is this?" Ciel drank the bloof and said, "I don't know, but I lost my buzz." Lettuce put hands on hips and said, "Is that all you ever think about?" She was angry. Ciel shrugged and said, "No," and Lettuce said, "You are an alcohol. Ick." "I am not," said Ciel, and it was not true. Lettice said, "Anyway, we need to think important like where we are." "We are in the past," said Ciel. "I recognize this tree." And Lettuce said, "That doesn't make any sense." So the two went to the city. The village, Lettuce said, "Now you stay here, do not get in trouble, I will find out information." And Ciel said, "I promise." So she went off to find out. After she got no information, she was sad. It had taken long time, but no fruit. She went to Spot, but did not see Ciel there anywhere at all. "Where is Ciel?" she said, angry. Monkey said, "He walked away." "Oh no, he is in trouble," she said, and ran off to the pub. When she opened the door, she said, "I knew I would find you here." Ciel was at the counter. He had lots of empty glasses because he had been driving. Lettuce was applaud. "Get up," she said. She sounded angry, but really she was mostly worried for him. Ciel said, "I am not drunk." Lettuce said, "Let's just get out of her," and dragged Ciel out of here. But owner said, Wait, not without paying me." He angry. Lettuce said, "Pay the man." And Ciel said, "I don't have money." "What?" said Lettuce. She had no money either. What to do? And Lettuce said, "Oh dear, what shall we do?" "Ciel, how did you get us in this mess?" Ciel said, "I wanted to get as nither drink." The bartender said, "You will work to pay off your debts." Ciel said, "How much do we owe you?" And the bartender said a number so long Lettuce couldn't remember. "How much did you drink?" she said, mad. "What are you, my mother?" said Ciel, and then he sobbed and said, "No, you are not, Sakura." Lettuce rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, brother." So the two had to work. Lettuce and Ciel washed dishes. Lettuce swept and kept her things clean, and Ciel was bartender. The tab kept going up because Ciel kept drinking. Lettuce was sad and wished she could knew how to get home. They lived in small cottage that was abandoned in the middle of the city. They poses as married couple because in the past two people had to be married to live together. But Lettuce wasn't thinking about Mary. She was thinking about Angry. One night, Ciel and Lettuce were in the cottage and Lettuce was sweeping the living room. It was the only room. Ciel was sad and said, "I remember," and Lettuce said, "What?" It got quiet and Ciel was quiet and Ciel whispered something. Lettuce didn't hear. She sulked and sat down beside him on the bed. "What was that?" she asked gently. Ciel sounded sad and ashamed. "Do you know why I drink so much, Lettuce?" he asked. Lettuce nodded. "No," she senses quietly. Otachi looked up at his eyes watery from almost tears. "I drink so I can't remember all the things I've done in the past 300 years." Lettuce felt sad and put hand on Otachi's hand. Lettuce said, "What do you mean?" and Ciel looked down. "I don't know why you think I am a good person," he said. Lettuce said, "Anyone can be good." And she smiled. Bitey Ciel would not have smile. "I done horrible things, Lettuce, lovely Lettuce. I killed people. I killed my father," he said. "Okay," said Lettuce, "but why drink so much for that?" "My father was evil." Ciel sounded angry now. His eyes brim with tears. "He killed my mother. He killed Sakura." "But Otachi's mom is Sakura," said Lettuce. Ciel deadpanned to look Lettuce in face eyes. "Lettuce," he said gently, "Otachi and I are brothers." Lettuce gasped. "How?" Ciel said, "I can't explain now. Read my chapter special if you don't know, LOL. Lettuce said after Lettuce read chapter and said, "Oh, I see," and was sad for Ciel. Then she said, "The writer can't spell, LOL. I know my writing's really bad. I never check my spelling for XD, just making fun of myself." Ciel held her hand and said, "Lettuce." The next day, they got to the pub and worked hard to hard work. Lettuce was waitress, but she was nervous. She had never been a waitress before. Ciel was butlering today by being waiter. "Serve me," said drunkish man. He was older and grumpy look. "Coming, sir," said Lettuce. When she went to bring the beer, she accidentally tripped and dropped the beer on the floor. "I'm sorry," she said, crying. Man glared at her and said, "No, you stupid bar wench, you should be punished." Ciel overheard and glared at the man. "How dare you call Lettuce a bar wench, you hussy," said Ciel with anger. He put his fist up and glared and bade his teeth vampire teeth. "Do you know who I am? Do you know where I will tell you I am? I am Ciel Bloodhaven, I am TGE king of all the vampires. I became king by killing my father, and I will not think of killing you for insulting lovely Lettuce. She is better than you ever be, and she was my friend, and I believe in me even though I do not do well. I will kill anyone. She sees not for me who I drink too much, and it is a good thing, but she does see me for who I am, and our hat is the king of vampires, and I will assert myself as king against hoes who get in my way, or the way I love way. Do not underestimate May. You see, I will kill you, and you to her family, I think nothing of it. I am an anger violent. Breathe to get strength, that's what I do. And your species shall bow before vampires, the king, and for they Lettuce you shall be vampire with me as my vampire queen. With me ill change you when you sleep. But that's when later time am not worthy of you, Lettuce, but I will make better. Am not always alcohol. I killed my father, and my mother knows me no more. She doesn't knew me, but mother's inception for child will not go wanting. Lettuce, you are similar to my mother. You do not love me, but you know not my name. This man shall not insult you, however. I could not protect my mother, but I shall protect you. And as I witness from God to say this now, I shall kill all the werewolves, and king of what I am shall reign. And this is how it's to be of my new rule of desert innocence. Listen here, you, for this is plainly what I am saying. Do not insult pudding, or I will rip your throat open and carry your gullet out, and your blood shall spray and rain on your family, and it'll kill them too. So you shut your mouth, your ribs will be lipped off, and I shall eat them and eat your carcass and a gullet. And who is the freak now? It is you and not her. She is nothing but good. Do you understand me? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Bartender said, "Calm down, get off the table," and Ciel got down. Lettuce was charmed. Ciel walked back over to table where man was who insulted Lettuce and got in his face. "What do you want, you for whack?" said the man. And Ciel snapped and said, "If I was not promised I to not to this, I would kill you where you stand, sir." Ciel clawed man in face and said, "You will die if you say another word." Man said okay, but not out loud, and 𝚜𝚎𝚒𝚘 dropped him and walked away. "Thank you for helping me," said Lettuce, blushing. "Whatever," said Ciel, and they both went back to walk. TBC. The description says, LOL, Ciel likes to rant a lot. I know, XD.